Hi everyone, this is Ryan in the Semperman Learning Commons studio, and I'm here to talk to you about adding grades and feedback to your Moodle gradebook. In a previous tutorial we talked about setting up the Moodle gradebook, and this one's going to focus on actually putting grades in for those items. So let's begin by going to the course you're interested in adding grades and feedback for. I'll be using my demo course as always. And the first thing that you need to do is find that course management icon up in the top left hand corner of the page. Click it, and then you'll see Gradebook right here under the user link. So go ahead and click Gradebook, and that will take you into the gradebook. So we'll see all of our students in our gradebook. It displays pretty much like a spreadsheet by default. So the easiest way to add grades, for example, to a bunch of items all at once, is to use the Turn Editing On button right here, and then just add the grades in. So let's say that I want to give this student a 75, an 89, a 56, a 43, 90, a 100. So I'm just scrolling down using the tab button to shift between the different cells and adding the grades in that way. So this is for a manually graded item. I'm going to go ahead and click Save Changes down here at the bottom, and then you'll see that the gradebook is automatically going to total up that homework category. So they got a 75 for homework. This is the category that we set up in the last tutorial. So you'll see, since there's only one item, the homework total is exactly the same as that one item in the category. That makes sense. And then of course over here all the way on this side we've got the course total. So you'll see these students right here have course totals that reflect their homework. This student right here has something in the workshop category that's a 0, so it's a dramatic impact on their grade, obviously. So this is the easiest way to view all of the grades at once in a spreadsheet format. Now, it's not the best way to assess a single assignment that's not being graded by some sort of Moodle activity like a quiz or a forum with a rating or something like that. So a little bit better way to do this, I'm going to show you the single view. So click the drop down that's at the top of the page, head to single view, and then you select your grade item right here. So maybe I want to finish grading homework 1, so I'll open up homework 1. And then anything that you add in the feedback column, so for example right here, maybe this student didn't do so well, he got a 0. I can type into this feedback area, Frank, I didn't see your assignment, where were you on Tuesday? So that's a subjective piece of feedback that's going to show up next to the grade for that student. Now let's say that I had a lot of people, this is maybe a large course, I have perhaps 100 students in here. If I want to perform a bulk insert value 0 for all the grades, all I have to do is check that, perform bulk insert for empty grades, insert value 0, and then I go over here and click Save in this corner, and you're going to notice that when I do so, grades are going to be set for however many leftover items. There's 5 items there, and so you'll see all the students here that I left their grades blank have had their grades updated to 0. Now it's important to remember that by default Moodle does not count empty grades against the students. In other words, an empty grade is a non-grade. It doesn't go into the average. So if you want a missing assignment to negatively affect your students' grades, you're going to have to make sure that you get zeros into those fields. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, this feedback, I want to talk about this a little bit more. So the question is, what does Frank actually see when he comes in? Where does he come to get this feedback? And if you want to know that, go to the user report in the drop-down in Gradebook, and then from your list of users, check the student you want to look at, Frank's student right here. And this is what Frank will actually see when he comes into the gradebook for your course. The students themselves will find it under grades right here in their profile. But when they come into it for your course, the user report will show you what it is they actually see. So if Frank were to come in here right now, he would see that homework 1 was a 0, and he would see this comment from me right here next to the grade. It is very difficult to overstate how important the subjective feedback along with the grade is for the student's metacognition and growth as a student. You really want to use this feedback column because students are in a place where they're doing self-evaluation when they're visiting the gradebook in your course. So you want to take advantage of that digital real estate as much as you can so that you get that subjective feedback across to the student when they're in a place that they're self-evaluating. So this doesn't just have to be about, oh, you didn't turn the assignment in, or you weren't there on Tuesday. You could use this feedback area for substantive feedback, like you didn't have enough citations in this paper, or you didn't take into account the content that we were talking about when you responded to this discussion forum, or you missed all of the questions about this topic on the quiz. So I can't overstate how important that feedback column is, and I'd really encourage you to use it because it's great for students and it's really convenient for them. So a couple of other things that I want to talk about before we leave. I'm going to head back over to the grader report, and I want to point something out here. If I go and I turn editing on here in the gradebook, and I go and I give a student a grade for an item that is automatically graded, like this is a workshop submission. So Gradebook is waiting for Workshop to send a grade into it from the workshop activity. But if I come and change this in the Gradebook, and I'm going to do that right now, I'm going to click Save Changes, you'll notice that the cell turns yellow to indicate this has been changed in the Gradebook. It means that it's been overridden and that the grade's no longer being accepted from the workshop activity. So if you have a grade that you're expecting to automatically calculate from something that's on the front page of your Moodle and it's not working, if you come in and you see this yellow cell, that's why it is. So the way to undo that and to set it back to where it will not override the grade is you can do it one of two ways. First of all, you can turn editing on, click the cog wheel, uncheck overridden, go ahead and click Save Changes. And now you'll see that it's gone back to being blank because there's no information in that workshop module for that student. Another way to do this, if you have a lot of yellow cells here, is to actually use that single view again. So if I go into single view and I select the workshop submission, if I had all of these overridden, I could just come in and select, I want none of them to be overridden in this column. And I could use the Save button up at the top or at the bottom, and that would save the changes and it would undo those overrides for those grade items. This can happen sometimes where items get overridden, and I just wanted to include that in this Adding Grades and Feedback tutorial. So that's it for this quick tutorial. If you have other questions about setting up more complex grading schemes or using automatically graded items to pipe into your gradebook, into categories that are percentage weighted or anything like that, please get in touch with me. I'll be happy to help you out. I've never encountered a grading intention that Moodle Gradebook can't handle. So if you can dream it up, we can do it in the Moodle Gradebook, and I'll be really happy to help you set that up, even if it's not exactly intuitive at first. So as always, thanks for watching and happy Moodling.